Hey everybody, Steve here. This time I'm doing another shoe review, and I have in my hands the new Nyjah Houston 4th Pro model from Nike SB, or otherwise known as the Nyjah 4. And this shoe is probably the most controversial skateboard shoe that I have done a review or overview video on. And I've actually been skating this shoe for, I want to say, about 2 weeks now. Actually, I've had this shoe since it came out. I was kind of intrigued by it and liked the design, liked how it felt on my foot, and decided, you know what? I'm going to mix it up a bit and skate something that I normally wouldn't. And of course, Nyjah's probably one of the most polarizing skateboarders, certainly beloved by a lot of people, but equally hated on and despised, although I think that's starting to change as he's getting older. But needless to say, this Pro model, which is entirely synthetic, no like suede materials on it at all, has a really interesting design when it comes to the toe cap, just durability and protection, and how it skates from really the ground up. So what I'm going to do is walk you through the features of this shoe, tell you what I like specifically, what I maybe don't like as much, and maybe it will inspire you to try it out, or at least put it on your feet the next time you're at a skate shop. So let me dive into it. To kick things off, what I'm showing you right now is the side profile on what is for me my switch side of my shoe. I skate regular footed, so I get a little bit more wear on my left foot, but either way, I'll talk you through both of these. So the first thing that you will notice about the shoe, of course, is the fact that there's this big, large, like polyurethane or plastic rubbery toe cap area. And this thing wraps around basically 3/4 of the shoe. So you can see it on the full length, covering the complete ollie and flick area, as well as into kind of like the inside of your foot. And the cool thing about this toe cap is that it is, first of all, vented and has some rigidity around the edges. So it really offers that desired mix of protection and durability, while at the same time not feeling like it's in the way or it's preventing you from really feeling your board when you're flicking. And it isn't particularly thick. Like, this isn't a big like piece of plastic. It's very flexible and pliable. And I would not say that this is overly in the way. Like, if you were to compare this to, like, say, an Adidas Superstar, that Superstar shell toe is really thick rubber. Same with like the Cons Chuck Taylors. Like that toe cap is really thick. This is not. But at the same time, I've found that this is really holding up well when it comes to flicking. It's not wearing out quick or anything like that. So I do expect this zone to hold up a really long time, certainly longer than what just a cloth fiber area for like an ollie patch and your flick areas would hold up. So that's really nice about this. Secondly, it's pretty seamless relative to the sole. I mean, there is an edge to this, but it's not like this sticks out that much. Maybe a millimeter or two at the most. So it's pretty flush, and it feels just like what you would get with a regular, like, say, vulcanized shoe or cup sole, where it just transitions into the upper part. So this is not like a weird feeling at all. And if you compare this to, like, say, the Nike SB PS8, the edging here is consistent, is a relatively consistent height, maybe a little bit shorter towards the very front of your foot and then getting taller in the back. But this isn't going to like have a lot of like changing in terms of the shape, or a sudden sharp change in terms of the existence of the sidewall of the sole. So I think it lends itself to skating really nicely. Now, the bottom part of the shoe, I find that this rubber is a bit harder than what most Nike SB shoes are like. I think this is holding up and gripping really well. I've heard some people say that this is kind of worn out pretty quick for them. I don't know how true that is because I've only been skating this for 2 weeks, but I will say that in comparison to other Nike SBs that I've skated, particularly like Blazers and Dunks, the sole of the Nyjah 4 feels a little bit harder in terms of like the rubber or whatever material they're using on this. So that's a nice thing. If I look more towards the back of the shoe, you definitely have this like plastic ankle brace thing that certainly holds your foot in place laterally to keep it from shifting, especially if you land sideways or you overpronate or things like that. So that's another nice aspect of it. But all in all, just the material that would be touching your board, flicking against your grip tape, things like that, it's really like a consistent experience all the way around, which I personally really like. Granted, that's a little bit weird for some people, and you definitely have to, if you're looking straight down at the shoe, kind of get past the fact that you have this wrapping. And I think some colorways might be a little bit more like off-putting for some people than others. Like, I will be the first to admit that this like lavender and gray is a kind of a wild color for a skate shoe. Something that's going to be like all black or one color might have a bit broader appeal. But this is the launch colorway, so you definitely get something that will stand out. Other things to just kind of note about the protection of this. I think that this covers enough of an area where I have not had to worry about like blowing out my laces. I'm going to actually switch over to the side that I skate the most or flick the most, and you can see that there's some abrasion where like I would ollie for like say a frontside crooked grind, as well as kind of where I flick, and I'm starting to sort of wear out a little bit here, but it's still holding up really nicely. And although I super glued my laces, these have not scraped against my grip tape hardly at all. So I'm not, this was probably unnecessary, and I really don't have any concerns about ripping my laces skating this. These are really high up. So the fact that it doesn't have hidden lace loops or anything like that is not too much of a concern for me. Other things that I would point out about the upper, you do have this mesh material as the other main part of the shoe, and I would expect that if this was scraping up against my grip tape on a regular basis, this would blow out pretty quickly. This is not very thick or durable material. Like say like a Cordura nylon would be probably better there from a durability perspective, but this is used in parts of the shoe that really don't scrape up against grip tape at all, except maybe the toe if you're doing like a Casper or something like that, which I don't do, at least not seriously. You can see an area of the shoe that I've started to blow out. This is kind of common if you tend to overpronate, which means your feet sort of bend inwards as you're walking. I just, because I'm clumsy, rub my feet up against one another, and I get this on a lot of shoes. So this is not a Nyjah specific issue. I get this on every brand. But yeah, needless to say, if you're rubbing this material, it's eventually going to blow out quickly. Other parts, you can see like the lace looping system that kind of keeps the shoelaces and the tongue sort of aligned. And I will say that as you start looking inside the shoe at the sock liner area, it's got like a full-footed sock liner. So this feels really comfortable. You can kind of see down in there, there's this like stretchy, elastic, like polyester sock liner. So you could wear these barefoot if you want, and it would feel just like wearing a sock. So it makes the shoe really comfortable. Now, in terms of the padding around the collar, there is some foam in here, so I wouldn't say this is as thick as like say a Dunk, but it definitely gives you a fair amount of protection and stability around your ankle, which is really nice. Not like bare bones like a Janoski would be. So if you're looking for something with a little bit of padding around the edges, basically it goes all the way down towards the bottom and then back around your heel. So nice amount of padding, but not too much. And then when you start getting closer down to the toe of the shoe, it thins out to where it's just that material. So you can definitely feel your board, and you don't feel like the front of your foot is insulated. The tongue is pretty thin as well. There's a little bit of foam padding inside it, but not much. So it really kind of strips down padding to, or restricts padding to just areas that you need it around that ankle protection area, and not adding things or bulk where you wouldn't need it. Otherwise, I would say kind of inside of the shoe, just in terms of fit, you do have this like just polyester sock liner material. This is, I know it looks shiny, but I have not found this to be particularly slippery. I think part of the reason why that is because the opening around your ankle is somewhat narrow. I have a pretty slim and slender set of ankles, so I can slip out of shoes quite a bit and quite easily without even having to untie them or tie them. If I had a bigger ankle, like thicker, maybe fatter, these shoes might feel really tight. But I actually find that this setup is really comfortable and works well for me. Pretty standard insole area as well. I'll pull this out to just show you what you get with this, but it's just kind of your standard like ortholite type material. Not very thick at all, no arch support in this, just a standard liner, and that's where you then get into the sole of the shoe. In terms of thickness, I will say that the heel definitely has impact protection. You can see this like kind of air zoom foam zone in here that's kind of pinkish towards the back heel. Definitely absorbs impact. I'm sure that was really important for Nyjah when he was designing this. But as you get towards the toe of the foot, it definitely thins out. Now, I can still feel that there's some padding and foam in this, but it's a thin layer. So while you do get some insole padding like you would with cup soles, and there's foam that goes all the way to the toe, it's really thin and does not affect your board feel. So the nice part about this shoe is that it gives you probably the optimal amount of padding for impact without sacrificing much in the way of board feel. And the tread pattern and stuff like that makes it so that this is really flexible. And I've said this on other shoe review videos. Really what drives your board feel is not so much how thick the sole is, but how flexible it is. And if you have a really stiff sole, say there's like a steel shank through it, you're not going to feel your board at all. But if you have a thick sole that's super flexible, you're going to feel that board pretty well, even if there's like a half an inch of foam in between your foot and the board. So needless to say, I think this has a good mix of board feel and padding, which is one thing that I really like about it. Okay, so I've covered just about every feature or aspect of the Nyjah 4 from Nike SB. Just to kind of summarize, I think some of the things I really like about the shoe are certainly the durability and the design and the flexibility of the sole. To me, this is like a match made in heaven when you're looking for something that offers a lot of protection and durability to high flick, high abrasion zones, as well as providing the flexibility you need to like skate tech and take a little bit of an impact, even though that's not something that I'm really trying to do much these days. I also, probably my favorite thing is how this just fits around my foot when I'm wearing it. I could easily get another pair of these just as kind of a casual, like out and about shoe. Very similar to like a running shoe in terms of its comfort level. I think in terms of like things I don't love about the shoe or am not crazy about, certainly the lack of arch support in the insole is a factor for me. I would like a little bit more there just to kind of disperse impact a bit better for my foot personally. I also don't really like that it is an entirely like synthetic polyester upper. I would actually welcome maybe some other materials in here, like a suede or something like that. But it is what it is. I think you still get quite a bit of breathability this way. And I think, certainly colorways, This is a crazy colorway. I would like something a little bit more toned down moving forward, but it's still like a cool setup. So if you're in the market for a shoe that has an adequate amount of padding, good board flexibility, and certainly durability, this shoe is definitely one to check out. I think it actually reminds me, if you guys remember, the original Nike SB launch, they had a shoe, I think, called the EQ or something like that, or the Earl. I might be mixing up the names of the models, but it was like an entirely like high abrasion zone. So that's like the heart technology, like high abrasion resistance technology or something like that. But they had it over the entire front of the shoe. So it was like super durable and grippy, and made the shoe last a really long time. But it didn't look like anything else on the market. So I think it kind of discouraged the people who love like Vans Old Schools and Blazers. But needless to say, I think if you're looking for something tech, this is definitely a shoe to try out. I really enjoy skating it and would recommend it as a model moving forward.